Wow, that riff, that does not get old. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cranky Commentaries. My name is Jake Del Mastro, and as always, I'm joined by my very good friend, Keaton Byer. Hello, Keaton.
Put on the glasses.
I don't know if I can. And today, we have a very special guest, returning friend of the pod, Felix Frontini, and I can now say PhD candidate Felix Frontini. Congratulations, Felix.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It doesn't actually really mean that much. It just means that I'm not kicked out of my program yet.
Okay, well that's good to hear.
That's good. Yeah, it's good news that you're still in there. We got
But
a man on
it's
the
good to be
inside.
back, guys, and I concur with Keaton that you should put on the sunglasses.
Put on your damn sunglasses.
He doesn't say sunglasses. I think he just says
No, he doesn't say
glasses.
sunglasses.
The glasses, yeah, he says
Put on the glasses.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they're not to block the sun. They're to show the truth.
Indeed.
That's true.
Indeed they
Yeah.
are. So, Jake, do you want to introduce the film that we'll be talking about this week?
Yes. So, this week we are talking about They Live, the classic.
Say the full title,
what do you-
please.
What do you mean?
The full title
full
as
title?
it's written.
They live! Exclamation mark.
Well, yes, but
Is
no.
it?
I mean, you don't say the
On the-
exclamation mark. You got to put the emphasis
On
on
the poster?
No, I
like,
usually say they live!
Oh,
exclamation
John
mark.
Carpenter's They Live.
precisely. That's what it's billed
I
as.
see. Yes, I just see the poster has that in small letters before.
Yes.
They Live.
Exactly. So the actual title of this film is John Carpenter's They Live.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's good.
I don't know. I think it's just they live.
I mean, no, but it says on the title.
I don't
They
know
Live.
that makes it the title.
That's why
I mean,
It's a preamble to the title. It's a pre-title.
on IMDb it just says They Live, but
well, on IMDb, it's wrong. So we got a kind of how do you want to describe this episode? It's gonna be an easier.
well, we had an episode we were going to do for a movie. Sorry, there's a fucking plane.
I think it's a helicopter.
They're fucking looking for us.
Yeah.
Sorry, so for everybody listening, there's literally a helicopter here. It's like fucking looking for us because we have the glasses.
Yeah, that's
We got the
right.
glasses. That
We were hanging out at the church for too long.
Yeah. So sorry. Like I was saying, Keaton was saying, there was an episode for a movie that we're still going to do, but
it's a big one.
it was quickly realized that it is a lot of work to cover this film. So, we decided what's a movie that, we could do a podcast on really quickly because we know so much about it.
Yes.
There you
and
go.
We know so much about it. Yes. And it's let's just say the amount of work that went into this episode is about the same amount of work that went into the political commentary of this film.
You don't think it was subtle enough for you?
Well, there was some subtlety to it. I don't even know if I can finish that sentence in
Yeah.
good conscience, but I'm sure there was some subtlety
Somewhere.
yeah.
Somewhere.
It was so subtle you didn't even notice it.
Yeah. Well, and also because we have our special guest, PhD. What's the full title again?
PhD candidate.
Ooh, we got a whole new fucking word in there.
It's like I had to pass an exam just for them to be like, yeah, we might consider you later,
That's great.
Right.
but maybe not.
Maybe
We'll
not.
consider it.
So you're a candidate. So
Well, yeah, but before that, what were you? You were just fucking.
Before that, I was nothing.
You were.
Before that, I was mud.
you were dirt.
I was dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not even a candidate. You're nothing.
So I assume over the course of this episode, you will earn your candidacy. I guess you've already earned your candidacy. You will prove your candidacy or whatever through your explanation to us of how the glasses work. But we'll get to there later.
Okay.
So.
Well, I mean, yeah. So They Live. What kind of film would you say this is?
What kind of film?
If you were to nail this down with a genre, Felix, let's hear your take first.
I don't know. I mean, dystopian primarily.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like a sci-fi movie.
Kind of sci-fi, but
It's a
also not.
It's a sci-fi
It is,
I mean, it is
sci-fi.
science fiction because it has sci-fi elements.
Yeah.
but like,
it's a
yeah,
sci-fi
it's-
movie with absolutely none of the like motifs of
exactly.
Yeah,
a sci-fi
yeah.
movie.
It's somehow a period piece for the Great Depression,
but not set during the Great Depression.
but set during the late 80s.
Well, we'll get to why through John Carpenter's
Yeah.
perhaps slightly
And he hasn't been subtle about it either.
slightly filtered eyes. The 80s
Yeah.
were as bad. We're just like the Great Depression. But we'll
Right.
get
Yeah.
we'll get into that. So before we get to all of that, before we really get a roll in here, Felix, do you want to just give us a little rundown of the plot line of this film?
Sure. Do my 60-second synopsis. as it were.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do more than 60 seconds if you wanted, if it needs it. But do what you got to do, man.
Right. So I mean the film follows Rowdy Roddy Piper.
That's the character's name,
or
right?
as he's known in this movie, apparently Nada.
George Nada, I believe.
But
yes.
they literally never mention his name once in the movie, to my knowledge. Maybe they do, but I didn't.
I think he says it once to the
Right.
construction
Is it
company?
in the beginning when he's looking for a job?
Yeah.
Right.
When he goes to the lady? Is it maybe on a form or something like that?
Maybe. I mean,
Yeah, it might be.
the whole point of the name, as we'll get to, but I'll just say it now because you mentioned it. The whole point of the name is that it just means nothing because he's supposed to be just a nobody guy.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's a rambler. He's a hitchhiker. He's going from town to town, and he rolls in to what is presumably L.A., and he's homeless, and he's looking for work. So he goes to the job employment office, and they got no jobs for him.
They got no jobs for him.
They got no jobs. So he's hanging out on the streets, and apparently it's very cold in L.A., and he's all
It's
cold.
also raining the one day of the year.
Yes,
in
yes,
LA
that's also
when he
true.
arrives.
That's also true. Anyway, he finds his way to a construction work site and manages to talk his way into a union job based on pure charisma.
Pure charisma and sex appeal.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then he makes friends
I mean,
with
look at those abs.
another struggling construction worker. And then he follows him back to this homeless kind of campsite, like a tent city, effectively. And as he's living there, he starts noticing some weird goings-on at the church across the street, and there's weird signals coming through the TV, and there's, giving him a headache, and this weird preacher who's on the street talking about, the hidden masters. Anyway, so he goes to check out what's going on at this church, and he finds out that it's like there's like this gospel singing, but it's like pre-recorded tape. It's not actually singers, and he's kind of sketched out, and he sees
not as it seems.
it's not as it seems. And
Nothing is as it
there's a
seems.
weird lab chemistry set up and a bunch of boxes. Anyway, he tells this to his new friend, but the new friend doesn't want to be a part of it.
He's got a wife and
then
two kids back at home, man.
I don't want no part of that.
I don't want to
shit.
get involved.
I don't want to get involved. I'm walking the white line in the middle of the road. Well, if you drive on that's the most dangerous place to drive. That's in the middle of the road. It's not a good thing to do, says Rowdy Roddy Piper. Anyway, so very quickly there is a bust of this church where the getaway cars leave the church, and then basically a whole squad of SWAT officers and LAPD basically storm the place and burn everything to the ground, and then they also bulldoze this tent city homeless park, and everybody has to abandon ship, and then so Rowdy Roddy Piper no longer has his large bag,
No, he loses
and he
all
goes
his
back
possessions.
and he loses all his
His
possessions.
tools, which is how he got the
Yeah,
job.
somehow he had a shovel and a pickaxe in his backpack. Anyway, so he goes into the church afterwards to investigate because he noticed some weird stuff in there, obviously. And he finds some leftover boxes of sunglasses in the hidden compartment that the stupid police were too stupid to find.
It's so clearly a fake wall that he just kicks down.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
noticed it within 2 seconds on his first visit. Anyway, but then regardless of the fact that he knows how to open it, when he comes back, he finds the need to kick it really aggressively and break it in half.
He's gotta be quick, man.
But anyway, he's like, what the hell? Why is there a box of sunglasses here? Very stylish 80s sunglasses. Why are they here?
Very
So he puts them
stylish,
on, and then he
puts on the he takes the sunglasses first.
he takes the sunglasses,
Then
he puts on the glasses.
he puts
He takes
Which
it.
reveals to him the secret society that we live in of alien masters who are controlling us and who are, I don't know, brainwave projecting a signal into our heads which masks their true appearance that only the glasses can show you, and there's subliminal messaging of everything to stay asleep and mate and reproduce and obey. Yes.
Obey.
So anyway, so they're
Obey.
oppressing the middle and lower class to obey and stay asleep while they are the elite, and then the few humans that know about them, basically they make rich and happy, and they don't care about the alien invasion. And then, well, really it just follows him around for a bit, and he basically goes on a serial murdering spree. It's unclear whether he only kills aliens, but he tries mostly to kill aliens. He might shoot some random
there's
civilians.
the one scene with the cop, and he's gonna shoot him, and then he realizes that he's actually a human. So he
but he
doesn't.
does also go into a bank with a shotgun and start shooting.
Yeah.
He's not very
I
discriminate.
think it's implied that he's only killing aliens. I think that's
Yeah, but when you're shooting a shotgun
He's
into a
not that
full bank,
careful
I don't think you
about
can
it.
really be very careful about it.
No, I mean the reality of the shot is he was shooting a shotgun into a crowd of people.
Yeah.
But like theoretically, I think he was supposed to only be killing the aliens.
Yeah, he's aiming for the aliens.
So, but needless to say, he reacts pretty strongly.
He
to
reacts
this
pretty
new
strongly.
revelation.
He immediately starts killing aliens.
Yeah, pretty fucking stupidly, and he immediately starts drawing so much attention to himself.
Yes. So then they immediately realize that he can see them, and they all have mass communication through their Rolexes, which are communication devices. So there's a manhunt for him. He somehow, he manages to escape by taking a human hostage, this lady, and he goes to her house to crash. And then when he turns his back, she smashes a bottle over his head and kicks him out of her window down like
smashing the window really easily.
Yeah, and he falls down like a 50-foot like dirt hill and like into a fence, and he's okay. He's just got a couple scratches.
He's a bit roughed up.
Yeah.
He's a bit roughed up.
But yeah.
He's limping.
He's
for a
limping.
minute.
Anyway, so he hides out for a couple more days in the very cold LA weather, and then he goes back to the construction site to find his friend.
I believe
Frank, is that his name?
Frank is his name.
He's finds his friend Frank, who's like, obviously doesn't want anything to do with him because he's a serial killer ostensibly.
Yeah, he's killed like 6 people at this point.
He's killed like a bunch of people.
I feel like he's killed more than 6.
Yeah. And then he goes back to the alleyway where he had previously stashed the remaining box of sunglasses, because he doesn't have his sunglasses anymore. He lost them in the tumble down the hill. And then while he's in this alleyway looking for his sunglasses, Frank comes and gives him a bunch of money, because I guess he wasn't so perturbed that he's a serial killer.
Well, he's like, take this money and go fuck off, is basically the
Yeah,
vibe,
but he seemed to have an odd amount of sympathy
Yeah.
for this guy who he just thought he was a murderer.
Right.
Anyway,
I was confused about that bit too.
Anyway, Rowdy Roddy Piper is like, hey, Frank, put on the sunglasses. You got to see what this is. He's trying to convince him to see what he
put
sees.
on the glasses, sort of keep on you.
Yes,
for
it's
that
true. It's
detail,
true. Frank does not want to put on the glasses,
No,
but Rowdy Roddy Piper really wants him to put on the glasses.
Yeah, and they don't call him Rowdy for nothing, as we're about to find out.
This is where it becomes relevant that he's a WWE wrestler. So they
There have been
then
hints
proceed.
up until this point.
Yeah, there have been hints. Yeah, there's been some the kicking down of the door for no reason.
Yeah, that was a good one. Just the shirtless shot
also-
of him.
Like being way too ripped for a homeless man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him falling down the hill and knowing how to tumble properly. Oh, and he beats up some cops earlier too.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So I should stress he's not a WWE wrestler in the story.
No.
Just the actor who plays the actor in quotes who plays him
is the famed Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Yeah, we'll talk about him a bit in a moment.
yeah.
Anyway, there's a massive brawl where he's trying to get Frank to put on the glasses, but he's so vehemently against it that he's willing to they're willing to beat the living crap out of each other to for their mutual purposes about the glasses. Anyway, he almost caves in his skull with a wooden 2x4, but in the end, he just pummels him until he's limp on the ground, and then he shoves the glasses onto his face, and then he can also see the and
then
alien infrastructure.
Regrets his resistance quite a bit.
Yeah, he immediately turns.
He immediately buys in, and then it helps that there's some aliens that are like, they can see us, which is kind of like
their Rolexes.
Yeah, they're talking to their Rolexes. Anyway, they hire at a very sketchy hotel until they can find more members of the resistance who are producing these sunglasses in the first place. And they go to the meetup, and at the meetup, he meets up with the woman he kidnapped is there, and she, I guess, he had left his sunglasses behind at the scene, and she found them, and then she turned as well, and she became part of the resistance. So then there's like a happy meetup.
Somehow found the resistance.
Yeah, exactly. Somehow found the resistance. So anyway, they get into like, a nice conversation, and like it's starting to get romantic, and they're about to suck each other's tongues when the wall explodes, and all the cops come in and start just with like, massively armed. They've got their SWAT gear. They're coming in.
Yeah,
Basically,
I think all the cops is a correct description.
All of the Los Angeles, yeah.
Anyway, so basically the three that managed to escape they first managed to escape with the woman, but then they lose track of her. So basically Frank and Roddy Piper escape while everybody else dies. How
do they escape?
Well, they managed to somehow get a hold of a broken Rolex teleporter, which, I don't know, they drop it on the ground, then it's like, your Rolex is malfunctioning. Please report to headquarters, and it teleports a hole into the ground while they're in the middle of a gunfight, backed into a dead end of a alleyway with like 30 SWAT officers coming at them, which is quite convenient. Anyway, they jump into the portal hole, and they find themselves in the inner workings under the city of the alien secret society.
I'm unclear on this point. Was it just a hole like straight beneath them? Like, was the tunnel they ended up in?
No, I think it's a teleporter.
Or was it a But then here's...
I wasn't really
because
sure.
Later when they talk to the guy, he's like, how'd you get here? And then he's like, oh yeah, these things are so fun.
But it can teleport you when you press the button, but that might have seemed like it just made a hole. Anyway, unsure. But they're in the headquarters. They find out more about, there's like there's a human elite gala happening in this headquarters at that time. Conveniently.
So these are humans that
are
sold
cooperating.
Out the human race.
They sold out because they know, but they're taking the payoff. And they somehow meet up with one of their homeless buddies who somehow managed to become part of the elite by capitulating, even though they were killing all of the homeless people.
Maybe he told them where the church was, where they were making the glasses.
Maybe he's one of the most suspension of disbelief characters. That's a horrible way of putting it because this whole movie's a bit like that, but like, what? He's just like there. He's so much.
Yeah, he's just there.
Such a like written into the story character. He has no real existence.
He promptly assumes that they're also part of the human elite, despite the fact that they're wearing workers' clothes and are covered in blood, and they're carrying assault rifles. And so he's like, "Let me give you a tour of the place."
They're hiding their guns at this point, aren't they?
Not really.
I don't remember.
I don't really. Anyway,
yeah, it's not that important.
Not particularly plausible. Anyway, so they give him a tour, and it turns out they're in like the sub-basement of a TV station, and that allegedly at the top of this TV station is the one broadcast satellite dish for the entire signal of the I don't know what you call it, the sheep
alien,
signal.
Yeah.
This is
the alien.
They get inside your brain.
The alien brain ray.
Yeah,
it's being broadcast from one location with no redundancy protocols. Anyway,
it's a pretty bad system. They don't the whole alien.
It's a bad system. Yeah. Anyway, they managed to find Holly, who for some reason, since they last saw her 1 hour ago, has had a full wardrobe change. And they go up to the top of the building, and they find the giant gamma ray dish. But it turns out Holly's evil. She's the one that sold them out and got the secret resistance meetup busted, because she is part of the human elite. Anyway, Rowdy's like,
she kills Frank first, right?
Does she kill Frank?
Yeah, she kills Frank.
She kills
Frank in the head.
And then Roddy Piper is like, well, I wanted to have sex with you, but now I guess I'll just kill you. So he does, and then he explodes the satellite dish by shooting it. But then he also gets he also gets shot by a bunch of aliens in a helicopter. So he dies, but he uncovers the scam.
Yeah, well, he blew up the
dish, and so now all of the humans all over the earth can see the aliens, and then there's some cut shots of what that's like, that everybody can see the aliens, including the ending scene, which is two people in a hotel room.
Well, there's one person.
Yeah, there's a person in an alien hotel room having sex, and then the woman realizes that her boyfriend is an alien, and he's like, "Hey, baby, what's wrong?" And she's like, and then it's the end of the movie.
Yeah, because he doesn't realize she can see him now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then it ends on that note that the aliens have been found out.
Yeah, and that's it.
And Illuminati confirmed.
Lizard people, not Illuminati.
Both. Same thing. Sorry, that was not a 60-second recap.
That's okay. There's a lot in this movie, and I think the most important, or rather the most important thing that I've noticed, is that the sci-fi elements and the actual explanations are a very distant second in importance to the political commentary.
Yeah, it's really sci-fi in name and aesthetic only. Like, there's not really any sci-fi content other than convenient plot devices.
Yeah, it's conceptually sci-fi because there are aliens. But is it even... Oh yeah, it is explicitly said that they're aliens.
At some points they start going away from the political commentary, where they're like, oh yeah, and this is the intergalactic travel hub where you see people teleporting to and from worlds. It's like, at some points there's John Carpenter was like, actually, the sci-fi thing is cool, we should lean into that a bit.
Yeah.
And then it's quickly exactly. No, never mind.
But also
that's where this movie ultimately fails, in my opinion, in a lot of ways, is because it doesn't really commit. I mean, it does commit it to the political bit, wholeheartedly, obviously, but
it's wishy-washy on the sci-fi.
Yeah, exactly. And I wish it had either gone full sci-fi or less sci-fi, to be honest. But I don't know.
I mean, I don't think there's a way to have less sci-fi than they had.
I suppose,
because it's kind of the key plot point.
Yeah.
I suppose you're right.
Now, okay, let me ask you guys a question just off the bat. So I don't know this, but I'm gonna take a guess. So the movie came out in 1988.
Yeah,
we're Canadians.
Yeah.
I don't really know my American history very well. Who was president at this time? Was it Ronald Reagan?
It was indeed Ronald Reagan. Yeah, if you listen to interviews with John Carpenter, he makes it very explicit. He's talking about Reaganomics.
Yes, that's what I had assumed.
Yeah.
This is actually, here's a quote from John Carpenter. The picture's premise is that the quote-unquote Reagan Revolution is run by aliens from another galaxy. So yeah, it's pretty heavy-handed on that.
Yeah.
On that front. It's pretty literal. So actually, I don't know. I feel like this, I just haven't thought about it enough. That's probably what it is. I think this movie just requires more thought than I've given it.
Yeah.
In what sense? The subtle. You have to figure out the subtleties of how literal it is.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So
you need to stare deep into that 6-minute fight and just take in what's going on.
If you try really hard, you might find specific nods to particular enacted policies.
I don't know, probably not.
in the fight.
In the fight.
The fight is representative of Reagan's.
And you see here, he goes for the clothesline.
Yeah.
Now that's
which
symbolic
is representative of when Reagan's Justice Department imposed heavier penalties upon the homeless people of California.
I did think though is the utility at the when the cops come in and like raid the church.
Yeah.
It's a bit random that they decide to bulldoze this homeless encampment at the same time, isn't it?
I don't know. They're like, hey, we're here. You know, we might as well bulldoze.
I mean, I guess they're like.
You know, that's breaking some kind of law.
They're like witnesses, but they don't really care because they're already homeless. So like,
maybe they just needed a reason to be there. So they're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we're calling the homeless shelter, and then we'll just raid this church while we're here.
Yeah,
You know,
fair enough.
As we've said, none of these details actually have answers. I don't think because I don't think they were considered.
No.
I think it's all in aid of the obey.
Yeah.
Yes.
So. Have we mentioned John Carpenter?
Yeah, so John Carpenter, what we did when we were talking about the real title of this movie, as you,
that's right.
as you,
John Carpenter's They Live.
Yeah, so John Carpenter directed this film. I believe we've covered. I know we've covered John Carpenter before.
Yeah, we did. We have talked about John Carpenter before.
I don't actually know much about John Carpenter.
Oh well, he's a very interesting fellow.
Yes, and if you want to know more, you can go and listen to our episode on The Fog.
Yeah, so let's just quickly go over like who he is, what he's all about.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's kind of like a hero of sort of like low budget cinema.
Sure.
Also, like he is self-described as the horror master.
Yeah,
That's his Twitter handle.
you're familiar with his work on Halloween, Felix?
I know of it. Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen it.
Halloween is probably one of his most famous movies, but that's sort of how he got his like breakthrough.
Right.
Was with Halloween.
It's the quintessential 70s horror film. It is the...
Yeah.
What about Carrie?
No, he didn't do that one.
I know, but I'm talking about quintessential 70s horror films.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean,
I don't know.
it's a contemporary... I would
It's
say
contemporary,
Halloween is higher on the...
But what was I going to say? Yeah, he's also done films like The Thing. What am I blanking here? Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Escape from New York.
So
Escape from
low
LA.
budget horror is the
Low budget horror and sci-fi.
Low budget horror and sci-fi, yeah, that's his forte.
All right.
And his films are often marked by special effects. Although this one is not, or like practical effects rather,
Right.
which are special effects, but to
Yeah.
be more specific, which is like I guess the makeup is pretty cool in this film, but it's not. There's not practical effects aren't a huge part of this film, are they?
No, I mean there's a couple explosions and shit.
Yeah.
But no, it doesn't have anywhere near the same like level of practical effects that like The Thing did, for example.
Yeah, I think kind of our conclusion on him in the last episode that we talked about him was that like he's a filmmaker that creates atmosphere very expertly, and that's kind of his biggest strong suit is like immediately setting up an atmosphere.
Yeah, and part of that has to do with the fact that he writes his own music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Including that little bit that you heard at the beginning.
He collaborated.
Sometimes he doesn't write very much music.
Yeah, exactly.
No. The music he also collaborated with a guy named Alan Howarth.
Yes,
Howarth, who I think we've talked about before. I think we talked about him on our last John Carpenter episode.
Yes.
In fact, he worked with John Carpenter a lot. So do you want to get into like some basic facts about the movie?
Yeah, sure.
Sounds good.
I mean, we've already talked most of the basic facts. We've got John Carpenter as the director. We mentioned that the film was starring one Roddy Piper.
Yes. What was his? I mean, I know he effectively just played a brawling Irishman in the WWE in the 80s, but.
Yeah.
What's his finisher?
What's his?
What
I was
do you mean?
hoping you would know that. I was
Yeah,
gonna ask
you're
what
our
you knew
resident
about him.
like
Yeah,
WWE
exactly.
expert.
I didn't watch it in the 80s.
Yeah, well, that's
Okay,
back
so,
when it was the WWF, right?
Yeah, it's true. Actually, when doing some research for this, I was confused several times because So
It's not the
WWF.
World Wildlife Federation.
Exactly, it is not.
That's why they had to change it. But no,
I don't know if that's true.
It is true.
Okay.
It is true.
Okay.
Yeah, he's one of the most decorated and highly acclaimed wrestlers of all time. Really, like he won, I believe, 34 championships. His whole character arc, I believe, was that. I mean, I'm not a wrestling fan, so I'm just going off of what I read about him. But he was a villain, and he was the best. What I think Vince McMahon. What's his name? McMahon.
Vince McMahon. Yeah.
He described him as the best entertainer in the WWE or something like that.
High praise.
Yeah. He unfortunately passed away, I believe, in 2015
No.
at the age of 61.
It's not very old.
So,
No.
but got a shout out to his place of birth, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Oh, where is that, buddy? What country?
yeah,
is
that's
that
in Canada, bud.
Oh, buddy.
There you go.
We should play the Great White North.
But he really played up that he was Scottish. Sorry, not Irish.
Right.
Yeah.
Apparently, they had him come in a kilt and with bagpipes,
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
So his signature move was the sleeper hold. Basically, put someone in a headlock and they go to sleep. Which actually, I think he uses that in this movie.
Does he use it to force him to put on the glasses?
That's funny. I mean,
I think he does, and then he gets his hand bit. That's when he gets his hand bit.
Right.
Oh, I mean, that's pretty antithetical to his goal of waking everybody up.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wow, that joke really just ended the flow of conversation there, didn't it?
Yeah, it really did.
Really did.
It was worth it.
So let's play the box office game. I did not include the box office.
Okay. You're lucky I'm not looking at the IMDb page right now.
Yes, I am lucky. So the budget for this film was.
Do you want us to guess the budget, or are you gonna just tell us the budget?
I mean, I put the budget on the outline. If you're not currently
oh, you did, right?
looking
Oh,
at
I'm not
it,
looking at the outline right now.
then yes, I would
Okay,
like you to
well,
guess the budget.
I'm going to guess the budget.
Adjusted for inflation?
No, just like let's not adjust for inflation.
Yeah.
$40
No, sorry, $40 million.
$1 million.
Maybe 25 million. 25 million.
1 million.
25 million.
So these
25
are
million
prices,
seems high, actually.
These are Prices
I
Right
don't know.
rules.
Okay, fine. I'll go 4.
25 million. I
Price
could
is
be
Right
way
rules,
off.
just so you guys know.
Price is
Yeah.
Right rules. Then I'll go 3.5.
So 3.5 for Felix,
25.
25 for Jake.
Yeah.
None of you win the new car.
I should have gone with 1 million.
You should.
How much was it? It was 1 million?
No, but he would have won in Price is Right if he had said 1
Right,
million.
okay.
The budget for
What
this
was it?
film was
3 million. Jesus Christ.
$3 million.
There you go. I should have. I would have gone with. There you go.
Apparently,
Yeah, there's nothing that would have cost any money in this movie.
well,
Yeah,
apparently
seriously.
the very first shot cost them quite a bit amount of money.
What is the
Because apparently they had, because the train has to come in.
Oh, right.
And so they apparently they had to pay the train company to like drive the train naturally.
Why couldn't they just wait for it to come around?
That's what I was thinking. That's what
There's-
we would have done.
Well, here's why: because they fucked up the first shot and they had to do it again. The train.
There you go. That's pretty funny.
I see. So they did do that the first time.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
I don't know. I don't know if they like. I think they arranged for the train to come because like.
That's
So anyway, yeah.
So box office. What do you guys think?
Well, we're gonna
Box
guess for box
office.
office.
Budget of 3 million. Box office.
25 million.
Well, I think it's more of a cult hit. I'll go 7.
Felix would win and Price is Right rules again.
But how much
It's,
was it? Who was closer?
13
Oh.
million.
I was much closer.
Yeah. But he's right. You're right. It was much more of a cult hit. It didn't really get a lot of critical acclaim
Yeah.
when it first came out, which is like makes sense. It's definitely a lot more of a cult movie. than
Yeah.
a theater extravaganza. I can imagine you walking out of the theater seeing that, being like, "What the fuck?
What the fuck did I just watch?"
Yeah.
Well, you're not, walking into the theater like,
Hey, baby, what's
wondering
wrong?
if everybody's an alien?
I would just be doing impressions of the guy going, "Hey, baby, what's wrong?"
I walked into the theater thinking everybody was an alien.
Well, I know
so.
you did.
So it was a mild success.
Yeah, moderate success.
Mild success, moderate. Yeah, I mean, it just further added to John Carpenter's,
Yeah.
mythos of like low budget.
I mean, one of the problems with these is like
Films.
it's always box office. Like they never, like with cult films, like they never include like
There are metrics
video
on,
rentals
like,
and shit
video
like
sales.
that.
I
Yeah,
think-
video sales and video rentals.
And
Once this
rescreenings.
podcast, once we hit the big leagues, I'll spring for IMDb Pro, and I think it might have
Oh,
that
yeah?
information.
Okay.
But that'll be once we have our Patreon up and running with.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So what were we saying? Yeah. So like in general, like I think that's pretty standard for a John Carpenter film. Like you don't spend much, and
You
you
don't make
make
much.
more than you spent,
Right.
a lot more, but still not much.
But still not much, yeah.
Except for Halloween, I think that did we talk about what the ridiculous return was for Halloween?
Yeah, we did. I think in our last episode about John Carpenter, I believe, what was it again?
So it cost $300,000 to make,
Oh, really?
and box office of 60 to 70 million.
Oh, wow.
Which
Good
is
value.
Yeah, it's good
That's
value.
It's a good return
value.
on investment.
yeah,
But yeah,
pretty
that's
much
not this
secured
movie.
John Carpenter's career
Yeah.
for
100%.
It's like, oh, I can do weirder shit now.
yeah,
for the next 10 years at least. I think that bought him
yeah.
anything for, and he chose to make The Fog. Anyway, go listen to the Fog episode if you want to hear about that. We're talking about They Live and not Halloween, which we have not covered yet either.
I don't know who will ever cover Halloween.
Sounds too popular.
Too popular.
Anyway,
Where were we? All right, so let's talk a little bit about the production. So this movie's based off of a short story. Well, that's not exactly true. It's based off of a comic book, which is based off of a short story.
okay.
So John Carpenter found this comic book called Nada, which you can imagine why it's called that.
Yes.
Which is like basically it's a similar story, but it's based off of a story called 8 o'clock in the morning, which became the true inspiration for the
I
film.
believe in the opening credits
They
that's
only
what it,
credit that.
Yeah.
They don't credit the comic book. Yeah, well, I think the point. What I mean is like he initially found the comic book, which
Right.
then led him.
He was
to
inspired by the comic book, and then he used the original short story to base the
Yeah.
film off. Okay.
It's only 6 pages. It's not a
Yeah.
very long short story, and it's essentially about a guy who gets hypnotized, and
Okay.
then the hypnotist fucks up, and he like fully wakes up when he tells him to wake up.
Oh, so it's like Office Space.
Yeah, it is like Office Space.
The last
exactly
episode
like
we
that.
covered was involved a hypnotist.
That was not
Yeah.
the last episode we covered.
Was that not? What was the last
Those
episode
2
we did?
episodes it doesn't matter.
So the hypnotist wakes him up to the reality of what's going on around him.
Yeah, he
Exactly.
wakes him up to the reality, and he essentially goes on a killing spree.
Oh,
Okay. So are the motivations of this short story equally as political, or are they less so?
No, I
well,
would
it's not
say
about Reaganomics because it wasn't
it was
written
written
in
in
the
19...
80s.
Fair.
I think it is political, not as
Right.
overtly political. It was written in
Yeah.
1963, I believe,
Mhm.
by Ray Nelson. I don't know anything about Ray Nelson, or if he's a big sci-fi writer, if he's done anything
I
else.
feel like
Maybe
I've
he
heard
is.
the name.
I did not enjoy the short story very much, to be honest.
Yeah.
No.
No, it was it's a bit just, I don't know, not a lot of detail, not very. It's just a bit silly. The main hitch, the thing that like the big twist and why it's called 8 o'clock in the morning is the fact that when the aliens find out that he's turned on, they like hypnotize him, being like, "You're gonna have a heart attack at 8 o'clock in the morning." So he goes on his killing rampage, and then he actually does end up dying at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh well. because he's been hypnotized to do it.
Because he's been hypnotized to do it.
Okay, so somewhat different from the film.
It's quite different in a lot of ways, but it's also only 6 pages, so...
Yeah, I guess you have to write more than
Fill
that.
in a lot of details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
and
if a good chunk of that is just a fight scene.
Glorious fight scene.
It is
But
a good fight scene.
I guess you can rely on Roddy Piper's extensive fight scene choreography knowledge to help out with that.
Yes,
so
you can, yeah.
Yes.
they didn't have to write that.
Oh, they did.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about the fight scene.
He didn't write it?
We'll talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, it's somewhat interesting.
Oh, okay.
I think the major difference between this short story and the film is I think there was a lot of underlying implication in the short story that maybe our main character was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Because like there was a lot more detail or attention paid to like his girlfriend's reaction to him killing people who she thought were normal people. You know?
Right.
So,
but he knew they were aliens. Also, there were no glasses.
There were no glasses, exactly. He was just hypnotized.
It's just contacts.
So he couldn't show, but he couldn't show her, right? There was no way.
Yeah.
So I think
he couldn't
that
make her put on the glasses.
Yeah, exactly. He couldn't wrestle her for 7 minutes. So, but I think John Carpenter kind of lost that in this movie. I think he got rid of that aspect because he was so desperate to prove his political point.
Yes.
So, speaking of his political point, Jake, do you want to read the first paragraph there?
Appalled by the greed and corruption sanctioned by President Ronald Reagan.
Wait, sorry. Can I just interrupt you? I think because all of this is from one article. We should.
Okay.
I want to credit the article. Starlog Magazine, November 1988.
So what is Starlog Magazine?
It's just a science fiction magazine. Film magazine, science fiction film magazine, and it does interviews with like people in the industry. They did Mandy Patinkin, the guy who played Indigo in The Princess Bride.
Mandy Patinkin?
Mandy Patinkin, that's his name.
Yeah.
And then they have a bunch of interviews about Star Trek. So just like insider people, but this is an interview with John Carpenter by a writer named Steve Swires. So that's what Jake's quoting here.
So appalled by the greed and corruption sanctioned by President Ronald Reagan and his political allies, Carpenter has created a trenchant social satire which joyously punctures the presumption of the selfish me generation run rampant. I'm disgusted by what we've become in America, the 40-year-old director declares. I truly believe there is brain death in this country.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty that's pretty blunt.
Yeah. This honestly, John Carpenter does not come off amazingly well in this interview.
Yeah.
No.
Like
just comes off angry.
Yeah. He comes off angry and just a bit out of touch. I don't know. This is a whole... Anyway, carry on. Finish the quote.
The most fun I've had in a long while began in the fall of 1986, when the Reagan administration's scandal started unfolding. It's the first good time I've had since Richard Nixon resigned, Carpenter says. Frankly, I'm sorry to see Reagan and his cronies leave office because they're all such crooks.
Wait, what? Why would you be sorry for this?
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah,
he's enjoying the show.
He's enjoying the show,
right?
Okay. Which doesn't come off well, especially now that we've passed the age of Trump, where it's like,
yeah. Oh, well, you ain't seen nothing yet, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you like that, you would have really liked this.
Yeah.
So he said, I hadn't watched much television over the years, but I began watching TV again, he recounts. I quickly realized that everything we see is designed to sell us something. My awareness became so acute after a while that I couldn't even watch MTV. It's all about wanting us to buy something. The only thing they want to do is to take our money. So yeah, it's pretty clear what he's going for. It's like all
Yeah, like I mean, he just comes off like even without having read these interviews, like just seeing the movie, of just being really bitter.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, I mean,
Yeah.
sure, perhaps for good reason, but yeah, it's very like, it's like pretty very much like the whole movie is a bit like ranting.
Okay,
you know?
we get it. We
Yeah.
get it, buddy.
It's an angry rant.
Yeah, exactly.
And
It
in
is
fact,
an angry rant.
he has Frank do some angry rants for
Yeah,
him.
it's true. Let's try to cut us down.
Which it's funny. I think Jake and I were talking about this when we watched the movie, that it's a bit weird that Frank and Nada basically do a character switch, off the bat of the movie. Because at the beginning, Frank is the one who's ranting and angry about the system, and then
and he's telling him to cool down, man.
And then and then he's telling Nada's telling him to cool down and it'll all work out. And then as soon as he finds the sunglasses, he's the one who's angry and ranting.
The sunglasses
and Frank
are very
is
convincing.
Yeah, Frank is like, nah, man, I'm walking in a thin white line. I don't want to get in any trouble. It's like that's very much at odds with how the earlier dynamic was.
Yeah, I don't have 2 kids, man. I don't want to get involved. Keep me out of this.
Frank talks a big game.
Yeah. The whole Frank character is a bit thin, but
I don't know. I like his character.
I like it too.
He's fine.
I mean, he's mostly there for the fight.
I do find it unbelievable that he would hold up in a fight against Roddy Piper. It's very clear that he's way less fit than Roddy Piper.
Roddy recently fell out of a window.
Yeah,
True.
He fell 50 feet onto his back. Yeah, that's the
Okay, all right. That evens it up a bit.
So let's move on.
Okay. Debuting as associate producer is Carpenter's regular script supervisor, and his real life girlfriend, Sandy King, who wrote his upcoming science fiction adventure, Victory Out of Time.
So I just included that little detail because, as we've noticed about Carpenter, he has a tendency to do this.
Tendency to do what?
Date people who he works with.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, but to be fair to him, I believe they got married after this, and I believe, if I'm correct, that they're still married.
Is he still married to Sandy King?
Yes, he is, yeah.
Oh, there you go. I mean, he also married the last person we were talking about too. So
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I mean,
true.
the fact that he's still married to her is that's the clincher, not the fact that they got married. Because I believe he married Adrienne Barbeau as well.
Yeah, they're still married.
Excellent. Well, there you go. Good for them.
She stars in the movie, or was she just was?
No, she's not in this movie, but she's
She
in
was the
a
script
couple
supervisor.
other John Carpenter. Oh, sorry,
Okay.
Sandy King. Yeah, not Adrienne Barbeau was in a couple other John Carpenter movies.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was just the little a little aside. The actual more important thing was this thing about his talking about the black and white use of black and white in the film.
Right. Layering multiple levels of meaning into his script, Carpenter seized on the sunglasses as a means to include additional allegorical implications. The point of view through the sunglasses is in black and white, he notes. For example, you look at a city street in color, and then you put on the glasses and you see what is really there. The truth is seen in black and white. It's as if the aliens have colorized us. That means, of course, that Ted Turner is really the monster from outer space. Okay, this actually cuts at something that I guess a lot of people might not be familiar with in this day and age, which is that, so there was sort of a trend, I guess it was in sort of the 80s of taking black and white movies and colorizing them. And specifically like Ted Turner, who I guess he's a cable mogul.
Yeah, Turner Television.
Yep.
Yeah, so he was specifically, like, because he owned the rights to a lot of these movies, he would get them colorized. And so to a lot of the film establishment, film purists, which I would include myself, found the practice to just be absolutely sacrilegious. because the way that they were intended to be seen was the way that they were shot, which is in black and white.
I wouldn't call it sacrilegious per se. In my opinion, it just looks worse.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I don't imagine you could do that good of a job, but I mean,
yeah.
If something was shot in black and white without the option of color, I don't know that it was in its intention to be in black and white. That was just the only option.
Yeah.
So,
well, no, but I'm saying, like, you're not seeing the film as the product. Because, I mean, the point is, like, they made all these sort of adjustments based on the fact that they knew it was going to be presented in black and white, right?
Maybe.
Yeah,
they might not
And
have.
And I mean, also it's also the argument that the people who are colorizing it have no connection to the
Yeah,
people who
also
made
you
the
don't know
film.
what color the original people were wearing on set and everything like that, right?
You can tell based on, like, color blindness scales.
You can, but anyway. So the point is that it's like...
Yeah, I get it. Like, it's...
It's
I fall in the middle, I think.
it's like, to me, it's like Star Wars the Special Edition.
I don't think it's like that.
It's like, sure,
kinda
you
like
know...
that. I think it's kind of like that.
If George Lucas had CGI, he probably would have used it. But
Yeah, exactly.
going back and putting it in there is just so fucking stupid and is
Although,
like...
didn't George
But
Lucas
it's less of-
okay that?
I don't
Didn't he
think...
want that to happen?
I think it
No,
was
he
his
did.
idea.
I know it was his
so
idea.
that kind of changes. Then actually, the allegory falls apart with that. But
But
Okay.
it's also more like, it's more something that, like, sticks out as a sore thumb, right? Because, like,
Yeah.
if you're colorizing a movie, it's just changing it from black and white, which
Yeah.
is a base level large shift, but it doesn't specifically change, there's a giant flying alien that's been superimposed on this scene.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And
But-
I think what you were saying about, like, the intention of adjustments being made for black and
Yeah,
white, it's
well, like-
you don't know how many of the movies, I'm sure there are a lot of movies that made usage of the fact that they know it's going to
Yeah.
be in black and white to do certain, I don't know, whatever, optical illusions, or they used it for specific things, or they
Yeah.
made certain adjustments, but I don't know
Well,
if that
no, just
applies
like,
as a sweeping statement.
Like the way that, like, everything was done back in the day, like, all the costumes were done in a certain way so that it would show up properly on black and white film, and we talked about this actually a little bit in the last episode, which now I
We
realize
did a
was the
black and
general.
white film last week. Yes.
Yeah, so, but there were all these sorts of things that just had to be done,
Right.
as a matter of fact, because people were shooting on black and white film, right?
Yeah.
And for, like, 50 years, they spent working with black and white film. They got really good at setting up everything so that it looked proper on black and white film, right?
Right.
And so, anyway, this whole thing is basically
whole-
a sidetrack. But I was trying to explain why people
Yeah.
were mad
Ted
about
Turner.
colorizing.
Right.
And Ted Turner. But
No,
anyway,
you're trying to explain why he made that joke about Ted Turner.
yes. So the point is that, like,
Ted Turner.
this is
colorized
what
all
he's
that shit.
referencing here.
Yeah.
And this is his idea. He's, like, saying, like, the real thing, like, the real thing is, like, the black and white world, like,
Right.
it's like, the aliens, I don't know, it doesn't 100% make sense if you follow
not-
his, like, logic.
No, it's not the greatest metaphor. Also, I'd like to point out how bad the black and white is.
What do you mean?
It's all paintings, I'm fairly sure. Like,
Well, yeah, because they're not actually gonna...
yeah, it's really fake looking, like, black and white paintings and sets.
No, it's, like, I think it's just the billboards that were painted.
The perspective of a lot of the buildings looks really wonky in the black and white
Yeah.
scenes.
I
It
wasn't
looks
sure
it
about
looks
that.
pretty bad.
There are definitely
Um,
some shots, but I think some of that is a bit intentional.
Yeah, like, but you can actually tell they just took the shot and then painted over it, because you can see it matches perfectly when he's taking the sunglasses on and off.
Yeah.
Yes.
They did talk about in the article. They did talk about, like, how that was, like, kind of a technical nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But if they painted over everything to make it gray,
No,
Like-
like they took black and white. Just the signs would have been painted.
right?
But, like,
Because
the scene,
they-
for
they did
example,
something. There's something about the perspective is weird. I guess
It is
maybe because
weird.
they didn't make the black and white adjustments.
No.
So I think we'll talk about the black and white a little bit more. I imagine it might come up a little bit later.
Yeah, so let's talk about the fight first of all.
Yeah,
like,
I think we should talk about the fight.
So this is, to I think a lot of people, the highlight of the film.
To whom isn't it?
Exactly. Like, this is one of the most entertaining fight scenes I've ever watched, to be honest. Like,
Perhaps not surpassed until Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson joined the Fast and the Furious franchise.
yeah, we might have to agree to disagree on that one.
Can you read this little
I mean, there's
segment
something
here?
special about pro wrestlers doing fight scenes in movies.
There is.
I mean,
there is.
yeah. I mean, they really know how to make it look real.
Yeah, that's their job.
Okay. This simmering ideological conflict between Nada and Frank eventually explodes into what may be the longest screen fight in movie history. Quote, "They fight for 7.5 minutes." Carpenter announces gleefully. "It's really a wrestling match in the middle of the picture. It's an incredibly brutal and funny fight along the lines of the slugfest between John Wayne and Victor McLaglen in The Quiet Man. Roddy Keith, the stunt coordinator Jeff, Imada and I rehearsed it for 3 weeks. It isn't a fake movie fight. Those guys really hit each other, but at the same time, they were also playing a scene. It's one of the film's high points."
So John Carpenter
Yeah.
agrees that it's at one of the film's high points.
It's also, they were not hitting each other.
Actually, they were.
There were so many fake hits.
So here's what they wasn't real. All the hits were real except for the groin hits.
Yeah, but even if they hit each other, they're not hitting each other full force.
It
I don't
wasn't
know,
like a
man.
real punch to the face. It was like a stage hit.
Yeah, it's not a
Well, no,
real
it was like
slam.
a wrestle. It was like a WWE hit.
Yeah, but those
Yeah.
aren't real hits. Most of the time, they don't even
What do you
hit
mean
each
they're
other.
not real?
Contact is made, I think, but
Most of the time in the WWE, there's no contact.
oh really?
Yeah, but like he's not slamming the back of his head into the concrete.
No. But they are actually making contact. But apparently, like according to them, the only hits that weren't real were the groin hits.
Thank God.
Yeah. But yeah, there's some interesting things about the scene. Apparently, originally, the scene was only supposed to be 20 seconds long,
Right.
Really?
and then like I guess it got to editing, and they realized like John Carpenter was just like, I can't cut a single second of this. It's so good. So John Carpenter is a fan of pro wrestling, by the way.
He's
I
a
think
huge
that should
fan.
be. Yeah.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
That's why Roddy Piper's even in the film. He went to WrestleMania 3, which was
Yes.
Roddy Piper's final wrestling match, his retirement match, and they became best of friends at that event, which they were until Roddy Piper's death in 2015. They were good friends. But yeah, he's a huge fan of wrestling.
Isn't that a bit? It's pretty fun. Like that's quite ironic.
What?
I don't know. Like the WWE is very capitalist and
Well-
is very much used to advertise
Yeah.
many
WWE
things.
is, but Roddy Piper. I keep saying it backwards.
No, just
Yeah.
just not that he's his friend, but just that he loves pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I don't know. You can like something and not like.
Yeah, you can
think
be.
it's-
I mean, not every like to live life without being a hypocrite is impossible.
Yeah.
But
But anyway,
Yeah.
so
but just with him being so adamant about.
yeah, but so back to the fight. I can't remember where I heard this, and I wasn't actually able to confirm it in my quick research.
Okay.
But I believe in the script, all it says is they fight.
Is that all it says?
Yeah. Yeah, I looked quickly. I couldn't find it, but I'm pretty sure that like in the script for that entire second, it just says they fight. And so basically it was choreographed just by them, like actually in the backyard of John Carpenter's production office.
I'm sure Roddy Piper ended up doing a lot more work on that than he had signed up for.
Yeah, I'm sure he was happy to do it though, because he seemed really into
It's
it.
just like he's the only one who knows how to choreograph a fight. It's like, fine, oh, you're doing it wrong. I'll do it.
But yeah, no, like, they really like. Actually, even I think the makeup also after the fight is really well done, because they really do look so fucked up.
They look a bit swollen.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty brutal.
In usual WWE fashion, it's not like the suspension of disbelief of that would be the aftermath of that fight is kind of lost. But they do look like they entered a pretty bad fight, but just not that fight.
Well, he looks
not
worse after his fight than he does after he fell out of the window.
Yeah.
I mean,
and given that he had his head smashed into the concrete 10 times, that would make sense.
Yeah. But yeah, they couldn't cut a single second of that.
That's pretty good.
I mean,
I wonder if the points where they were laughing in the middle of the fight were unintentional then.
Oh. I don't know how many takes they took.
They're like buddy laughing at each other, like, or I guess I forget what it was that was happening, but they like laughed, and it was like, are they supposed to be friends right now? I mean, obviously there's supposed to be still some mutual respect between each other. Maybe it was an outtake accidentally.
Maybe. So I found a copy of the script for sale.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
For $300, signed by Roddy Piper.
That's pretty good. That's some good shit.
That's not very expensive.
No, I'd buy that. Well, I wouldn't buy that, but I want to buy that.
It might cost you more because it's just to make an offer to the owner.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? So you mentioned earlier about the hypocrisy of the WWE kind of representing everything that this movie is about.
A little bit. I mean, maybe that's a bit. Maybe I overstated the case a bit. Like, but I think there's a bit of that.
It's funny you should mention that, because initially when Roddy Piper was going to do this movie, Vince McMahon found out about it, and Vince McMahon, who was the head of the WWE, WWF at the time, he found out about it and was like, John Carpenter, no, you're not doing that movie. Give me 3 weeks, I'll find you a movie for the same pay, and you'll do that one. And then
this guy, he's famously kind of a crazy control freak, isn't he?
Yeah, this is what Roddy Piper actually called him, a control freak. But so basically, he didn't want to do the movie that Vince McMahon found for him.
Right.
And he was like, no, I want to do They Live. And so the result of this was eventually Roddy Piper taking a leave of absence from the WWE.
Oh.
Wow.
And when he came back, Roddy Piper credited the movie with helping his wrestling career.
Damn right.
Because I think, like, it appeals to a lot of the people who enjoy the WWE, and while this is a cult movie, I do think that a lot of people saw it, and then
enjoyed the fight scene,
and then saw matches with Roddy Piper in it.
I thought you said that he had retired before this movie.
Well,
he went in and out of retirement.
So he talked about this. I was watching an interview with him, and he says, and so he actually did come back afterwards
after the WrestleMania 3.
Yeah. So basically, somebody asked him, so why did you leave the WWE? And then he was like, which time?
Right.
And then he was like, well, I'll talk about the one time, because the rest of them were ploys.
That's funny. I mean, I hear that is a thing they do a lot, isn't it? They do fake retirement so that they can come back.
Yeah.
It's like when bands do that.
Mm-hmm. But so he left the WWE. The only time that he considers that he actually left the WWE was to do this movie.
Right.
That's funny.
But and he thinks it helped his career, so that's good for him.
Cool.
So this is what Carpenter said about him. He said, quote unquote, unlike most Hollywood actors, Roddy has life written all over him. He's been hit so many times that he's really broken up. He even walks funny because his pelvis was shattered and his back was wrenched. Like, why are you so excited about this, John?
Because he loves pro wrestling.
Yeah, he's definitely not a pretty boy. He's the toughest guy I've
he's
ever
a heel.
met. He sounds like he's in love with Roddy.
He does.
That sounds so dumb.
He's the toughest guy I've ever met. You could run
He's
a
totally
truck into Roddy
fangirling
and
over
he would
Roddy.
still be
Yeah,
standing.
Roddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny though.
But yeah, he's a big fan clearly. So, what was that? Keith David's the actor's name.
Yes. This is the second Carpenter movie that he's in, actually.
Yeah, and he was in a couple after this too, I think. He's been in so many fucking movies and things. Like, his voice is just so recognizable. Like, I recognize his voice before I recognize, like, what
Did you by any chance play Halo, Keaton?
Hells yeah, I did. He's so many people. He's been in so many things. Like, let me just look at his.
Who is this?
Keith David, who plays Frank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I should have been more specific about that.
Yeah.
I was watching an episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And there was this guy who was like an astronaut in it.
Yeah.
And I heard his voice, and I was like, what's that voice? I recognize that voice. It's this old man. I recognize the voice. I'm like, is that the guy who narrates Civ 5?
Is
it?
And it was.
Classic.
What episode?
The one where they go back in time to like the 60s. It's one of the ones, I don't know, it's like with
Which Doctor?
what's his name? Matt something.
Matt Smith?
Matt Smith,
I don't
yeah.
know that. I don't know those ones as well.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Did you find what
I
you're
assume
looking
you're
for?
not going to put that in.
We might. I don't know.
no, I'm just looking through his
His filmography?
his filmography. His TVography is even more extensive. But the thing about him is he's done so many like side roles. That it's
Yeah,
just, like,
I don't think he's really starred in.
no, he's not really like. I think might be one of the closest he's come to a starring role.
Yeah.
Is in this movie, and the other movie he was in was The Thing. That was the role that got him this movie. He thought it was really good. I think John Carpenter actually wrote this role for Keith David.
Yeah, I believe so.
He thought he could.
Yeah. Although, did
Basically-
you know that he wrote Roddy Piper's role for Kurt Russell?
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
I didn't know.
And I apparently he decided that the reason I imagine that he did not cast Kurt Russell in it because I believe that Kurt Russell would not have been on board for the political message of the film.
Yeah, he's a bit more right leaning, isn't he? I think he was a Reagan fan.
Yeah, I think so.
Then why would
also-
you want him in the movie anyways?
Yeah.
Well,
also, I think-
because he loves Kurt Russell as an actor. He's cast Kurt Russell in so many of his movies.
Yeah,
That's
Alien
strange.
Witness, Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Also, Kurt Russell, I don't think you could run Kurt Russell down with a truck and he'd still be standing.
No, I don't think he could follow the window.
I don't think he could.
Still
Yeah. Yeah.
Who wins in a fight, Roddy Piper or Kurt Russell?
Oh, Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper would
Without a
beat
doubt.
most people in a fight.
Yeah. That's why he's in this movie. He's the toughest guy John Carpenter has ever met.
Yeah.
You must not have met Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Maybe not.
Well, I mean, Dwayne The Rock Johnson wasn't a wrestler yet.
No.
Not yet.
But
Was he still? Was he a college football player at this point? Maybe.
no, it was too early for that.
But then why would they have met still?
Oh no, at this time.
Yeah, at this time, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
It would have been, yeah. Why would they have met? I don't know. He seems to meet pro wrestlers, so why would he have met Roddy Piper?
I don't know. Yeah.
Dude,
Well,
that's a good
apparently,
point.
when Roddy Piper like originally got offered the role, he'd never heard of John Carpenter, which is not surprising because, but yeah, apparently he just invited him to dinner, and then he was like, "Hey, yo, you you want to be in my movie? And then I guess Roddy Piper was just like, yeah, that sounds cool.
That's funny.
That is funny.
Apparently it didn't take much convincing, and he didn't even know about John Carpenter. It was just like,
All right.
okay, I'll do a movie.
Yeah.
He seems like a pretty nice
He seems
guy,
like a chill
honestly.
guy, yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think I don't think pro wrestlers actually they get compensated, but I don't think they make so much money, right? Like that's why
Yeah.
you see so many of them using the notoriety of that platform as a springboard into other
Absolutely,
acting
yeah.
or other stuff like that, ways of marketing themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
Did you catch Roddy Piper in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
yeah.
I did not know that he was in that. That's pretty funny.
He's the maniac?
The maniac, yeah.
There's too many episodes. I don't think I've seen that one.
The wrestling episode. He's in the wrestling
He's in
episode.
the wrestling episode.
Like what? The Trash Man episode?
Yeah, he's in that episode.
Oh, he's in that episode. Okay, yeah. I don't remember
he's
him
the
in that
maniac.
though. All I remember is the Trash Man.
It's like, he got pretty mad. That was only $10. So yeah, back to Keith David. John Carpenter said, this is still connected to Roddy Piper, so don't worry. He said, there's a quality about him which is warm and wonderful. Keith is a big guy, and I needed a big guy to fight Roddy Piper.
You definitely do. That is
yeah.
not a exaggeration.
Still a physical mismatch, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he goes on to say about, yeah, I don't know. What did you guys think of Meg? What was it? Is it Meg Foster?
I believe it is.
who plays Holly?
She
Who
does.
plays
Meg
Holly?
Foster, yes. She does play Holly.
Yeah, I thought she was not very good in this film.
I thought she was fine. I mean, she definitely oozed, like, I'm secretly evil.
Yeah, I guess she did.
You know, she was okay. I mean, in the denouement, it doesn't make very much sense, but I don't think that's her fault.
What, for her not being in the...
Yeah, just the lot. Yeah, and
Well,
just
it makes sense if you realize that she's evil, and then she teleported back to the TV station with her Rolex.
right, and then did a full wardrobe change.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not her fault. Yeah, she was fine. It's a bit I guess her character was a bit one-dimensional.
Yeah, I mean,
even when she was
Yeah.
killing Frank, it was a bit of
Oh, bang.
it's like breathiness and just kind of distant the whole time was her was her character. But yeah, I mean, I guess
on the
agree.
one hand, her character wasn't written very substantially, and then on the other hand, I don't know. Her acting wasn't incredibly impressive to me, but that's just, I don't know. That's just a little side thought. But John Carpenter thinks she's very underrated and deserves to be more successful.
Was she in any other John Carpenter movies?
I don't know.
Nothing off the top that I can see.
No, it doesn't look like she was in any other John Carpenter films.
All right. Yeah, no, she was fine.
Forgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Not a standout. I
yeah,
guess.
not a
not
standout.
forgettable because the whole movie is.
Yeah, every second of that movie is memorable.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So finally, let's just talk about some just very practical things about the shooting. They shot it over the course of 8 weeks. In between wow, I'm really botching this sentence. They shot it in 8 weeks during March and April of 1988 in LA, and this is what the article says. They said among actual street people in downtown Los Angeles. And then this is where Carpenter starts to come off even more poorly, in my opinion. Jake, do you want to read that? The one on the right there?
We went into the dirtiest alleys that we could find, he recalls. The environment was very familiar to me. When I first came to California, to these 20 years ago, to attend USC Film School, I lived in the ghetto. I went to downtown Los Angeles to go to all the night grindhouse movie theaters where winos slept. So I knew about the pain and poverty of the homeless. But when I went back to downtown LA to shoot They Live, I was shocked to see how many more people there were on the streets now. The problem has grown to unbelievable proportions.
He just sounds, I don't know, he sounds like such a liberal yuppie there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just like, oh yeah, when I was in film school at USC, I lived in a ghetto and I went to like, I know the pain of being homeless because I went to all these like.
Because I saw some homeless people while I walked to school.
Yeah, that particular like turn of phrase. I know the pain of the homeless people. I was like, well, I don't know that you could say that.
Like, I mean,
that comes off quite
there,
poorly.
Like,
yeah, I'm relatable.
Anyway, that could just be this article is written very florally. What's the word I'm looking for? I mean, I guess that's a direct quote, so.
Oh, the what? Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that definitely the journalist like has latched on to this idea, like is rolling with it.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the aliens that are trying to make him come off bad because he's telling the truth.
Oh shit.
So
that we don't take him seriously,
The very last thing that. I don't know why I'm putting together this case of John Carpenter's being a dick, but I am putting together this case. This is my last quote before we can move on to the next section. So we built a huge. This is the newsstand scene, obviously.
Yeah.
So this is what
where he's flipping through the magazine.
The magazine, obey.
Reproduce.
Yeah. He says, we built a huge newsstand and filled it for half the production with normal magazines, he explains. We used that to shoot our color material. Then we changed the display and substituted magazines with blank covers with slogans printed on them. We used that to shoot our black and white material. And then this is where he gets really douchey. People who didn't see the cameras walked by on the street. They literally paid no attention when the cover said, obey. They looked for a moment and moved right on. We had a big sign on a building which said, conform. People
so they did actually put up a real sign, yeah.
People glanced up at it and didn't give it a second thought. It was hard to believe. It's like, because you're in LA and they know you're shooting.
Yeah, I don't think I would, like, if I was walking through downtown LA,
they probably thought it was some kind of art piece or art display, or they just know that it's for a movie.
Or maybe they saw the cameras.
Yeah.
What it feels like he's trying to say there is like, oh wow, look at how
you're all sheeple.
Exactly. That's what
yeah, for sure.
But anyway, that's my case of John Carpenter's a bit of an out of touch douche in 1988.
I buy that to some degree, at least.
I don't know. It's funny. Like if you watch like an interview with him, like more recently, he still seems just as bitter.
I mean, look, if you were as bitter as he was about Reagan, and then you lived through the Trump years, I think you'd be pretty. You just,
Yeah, I can imagine.
Cumulative bitterness.
I feel like you have to either change your life view or you're going to get pretty
Maybe you need
bitter.
to conform.
But anyway, that brings us on to our next segment.
We're going to talk about how they shot it.
Woo!
Cool.
So, this is a segment where we talk about exactly just that. Sometimes we get Keaton to guess something about how they shot it.
Yeah, well, normally I like kind of posit what I think, and then you tell me how it actually went.
Yeah. First of all, let's just go over some personnel here.
Oh, yes. No Dean Cundy.
Yeah, no Dean Cundy, and it shows. Those aliens. When Dean Cundy shoots a rubber mask, it doesn't look like rubber, man.
I have no idea who Dean Cundy is.
Yeah, so Dean Cundy is the director of photography for many John Carpenter movies.
Okay.
But not this one.
But not this one. Because Dean Cundy, I assume, had gone on to bigger, better things.
Right.
He also did like Jurassic Park.
Yeah, he also did like several more well-known and popular movies. But yeah, so Dean Cundy is specifically very good at lighting, such that rubber props look more convincing,
Right.
such as in Jurassic Park.
Indeed.
Right.
Or in The Thing. So yes,
Was
no
that
Dean
an
Cundy.
issue?
Sorry?
Would you say that was that an issue
In this film?
In this film?
Well, I feel like not during the
In your
black and white
opinion?
parts, but when it gets into color, like the makeup does look pretty bad.
It looks pretty bad. Even in the black and white parts, it's a bit inconsistent. It looks
Yeah.
weird.
It's okay.
But I mean,
But,
we kind of already discussed the fact that they don't really put that much effort into most of the sci-fi stuff, so I kind of just would have attributed to that.
But
Yeah.
so the director of photography here is Gary B. Kibb, who, he's been around. He's done movies like RoboCop 3.
That's
Trouble in Little China.
That's a really bad movie.
That is like
RoboCop 3, known for being
that is one of the
PG-13.
Yeah.
That is
So
one of the worst movies.
he's done some movies. The
the only one you've listed is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I said
so-
Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, I didn't hear that one. Okay.
Yeah.
That movie's
Another John Carpenter movie.
yeah.
So director of photography, not Dean Cundy, unfortunately. And first assistant camera is Jeffrey Norvett. Why do we care about first assistant camera? Because they're, as I have mentioned on a previous episode, they are the people who have the thankless job of keeping everything in focus.
Oh God, such a nightmare job.
I know. So, Keaton and Felix as well, since you are a special guest today. Did you notice anything about the way that you thought this movie was shot that seemed interesting, notable? Besides, the bit about black and white that we mentioned.
It's mostly how bad the black and white looks.
That was your big note, was that the black and white looks terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they shot it, through a pair of sunglasses, so it's not going to look great.
Well, I was wondering how they did the black and white in that scenario, because I know we've had some extensive conversations about
Yeah, my assumption is that they would have used black and white film, but given the fact that they had to shoot the same thing in black and white and in color, my guess is that they wouldn't want to have to change the magazine to change out the film in between shots. So they may have just done the same shot both times on color, and then in post have then exposed that onto a second piece of black and white film. So that might explain
why it looks
because
bad.
there would have been an extra generation of film that there would be some odd quality to the footage.
Right.
So that
but that's
explain
just
why.
speculation. I don't know that for sure. But that's just me thinking because
Pretty sure that's the motto of this podcast.
they have to keep the shot because they had to shoot the exact same thing in color and black and white.
Yeah.
It would have taken too long to set up to change the magazine in between shots.
To get the exact same shot.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, that makes some sense.
Practically, yeah. It just seems like, especially
Other
how many
things
times they
about
do that.
how it was shot. They really loved zooming in on the barrel of guns as they're shooting. In all the gunfights, they're shooting, and then as they're shooting, each time somebody shoots a gun, there's a full screen zoom in shot of the same gun barrel, which doesn't look consistent with what they're shooting.
Makes me feel like they had just figured out a way to make that muzzle flash look cool.
Well, maybe they wanted to save on because they need to keep the budget low, It costs a lot of money to like, get blank cartridges and shit,
Right.
like if you just show the same shot with the blank cartridge, you don't have to.
But they didn't need to show that at all.
Well, no, because if they'd done it in the wide shot, they couldn't reuse the same shot.
Exactly.
But it was a superfluous shot.
Yeah, he's saying that they didn't need to cut to the muzzle. It would have been fine.
No, but I'm saying, like, if you were shooting, right, and you had to show the muzzle flash in the wide shot.
But that's what he's saying, is you don't have to show the muzzle flash.
Right, no, but you have to show that they're shooting, right?
But they show that, and then they show the muzzle flash.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, in the wide shot, they're not actually firing the guns.
Are they not?
That's my thoughts. This is all speculation.
Okay.
But my guess is one of the reasons they might have done that was because,
I think there's other scenes where they show them.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe they ran out of blank cartridges.
That's one.
They were like, we have to shoot through.
That's another one of my comments.
Yeah.
I don't have any particular comments. Why? What's interesting about the way they shot this movie?
Well, I mean, this is a fairly widespread thing, but it's the first movie that we've actually come across on this segment that was shot anamorphic.
What does that mean?
Okay, so this movie was shot in a rather wide aspect ratio, 2.35 to 1. You notice the black bars on the top and bottom of your screen?
Indeed.
Sure.
So anamorphic is a process that is used to create a wider image while using the same area of film on a 35 millimeter piece of film. So the way they do that is they put an extra element in front of the lens that is curved in one direction, so it squashes the entire image horizontally.
So it's just a lens addition then.
It is, and so then when you project it, you do the reverse and unsqueeze it.
Right. So
you get a wider image on the same size piece of film.
So you need a specific projector.
You need a specific lens and a specific projector lens.
Would that not really increase the cost of getting it into box offices?
Yes, it does.
Theaters, yeah.
But the anamorphic was widely adopted in the late 1950s when television first came out, and so basically theaters were trying to introduce all sorts of like new ways to show, theaters are way better than television. Look how wide this fucking image is.
Right.
So they were able to spend tons of money.
That. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, interestingly, this not particularly interestingly, actually. This is
great way to introduce a fact.
This was specifically shot in the 35 millimeter Panavision process, which is credited in the film, but it is, according to John Carpenter, the greatest system anybody has ever come up with for making films. According to John Carpenter, and I think pretty much every John Carpenter film is shot anamorphic. Even the really cheap ones, that's where he spent all his money, is getting anamorphic lenses, I guess.
That's funny.
But yeah, actually, in a lot of the wide shots, you can see like the shots are like so wide, like that you see like barrel distortion on the edge of the frame, like the straight lines are curving outwards because it's like so wide. Because I don't know, he's just into that. Yeah,
that actually does make sense though. Now that I'm thinking of it, that it being a particularly wide shot.
Yeah. And so yeah, that's what I think is worth mentioning with this film, with how they shot it. Also, the black and white stuff, but that's purely speculation.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Thanks for the lowdown.
Yeah. That is our lowdown. So, what do we do next?
Well, we're nearing the end of our episode, of our special episode. We just have 2 more segments?
I believe we do have 2 more segments. Oh, kind of.
So are those the 2 segments that I think they are?
Are they?
They could be.
Yeah, so Felix, who is a return guest on the podcast, has quickly picked up on the fact that, We're about to talk about Star Trek.
Yes. I was like, there's 2 segments that I can think of that haven't happened yet.
Okay, we have a really good segment here for
Yeah.
6 degrees. Okay, so we got.
I'm particularly excited because this is like the most Star Trek I've watched between.
Recently?
Yeah, between Star Trek segments.
Right. I don't know if it's going to connect to any Star Trek that you recently watched.
That's okay. I'm in the zone is the point. So lay it on me.
Okay, so we're going to start with Meg Foster.
Okay.
This is a direct connection to the Star Trek Deep Space Nine episode The Muse. So this is actually a kind
we
of
talked about that one before.
Is she the Muse?
sorry? I believe she is the Muse.
Whose Muse is she?
Jake Sisko. Have you ever watched Deep Space Nine, Felix?
No.
Okay, so Jake Sisko is
Benjamin Sisko's brother.
Benjamin Sisko's son, and he's like a writer. So in this episode, he meets this mysterious woman who like helps him like write.
Yeah, she inspires him.
She inspires him, but also she's like sucking his life force.
Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, that's Meg Foster. She's in that episode.
All right.
Very good. Very good.
Good to know. Good to know.
One
She's
out of the way.
described in that episode as an alluring woman arriving on the station.
Okay. Who do we have next? The next direct connection, somebody who was already mentioned, was Alan Howarth.
I didn't mention it because I thought he might come up again.
Alan Howarth is a musician. He's done a lot of work with synthesizers, specifically with John Carpenter.
Indeed.
But he's also a very accomplished man in the realm of Star Trek for having created special sound effects.
Oh, nice.
For pretty much all of the TOS movies, so Star Trek the Motion Picture, Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, etc.
But not for the
one
series,
with the
just for
whales.
the movies?
Just for the films, yeah.
Why?
For the original series, synthesizers were not available yet, I assume.
Okay.
But yeah, so he did a lot of the warp sound effects and things like that. Yeah.
Cool.
Pretty cool guy. So yeah, direct
Very
connection right
cool.
there. And this next connection is one that I think you will enjoy, Felix.
Oh, yeah?
Okay, so let's start with, this is at 2 degrees. So this is somebody who's been in somebody's been in this movie has been in something else with somebody who's been in Star Trek.
Okay.
Okay. So WrestleMania 19.
All right.
This is 2003 TV special. Has Rowdy Piper in it.
Okay.
You know who else is in this? One Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Oh, fuck yeah, bud.
Dwayne The
shit.
Rock Johnson has indeed been in Star Trek.
Yes, he has.
Okay. When?
In the year 2000, in the Star Trek Voyager episode Tsunkatse, which is basically an episode about these like basically wrestling matches that, well, they're not wrestling matches, they're more like MMA, but like
Yeah.
there's like these warriors that are like forced into combat, and The Rock is one of them.
This is the early part of Dwayne The Rock Johnson's acting career, where he basically just was in movies to wrestle and like
Yeah. But anyway, so 7 of 9
Whereas
also
now,
gets
when
kidnapped
he's
by these
just
people.
in movies. Who gets kidnapped?
7 of 9.
Oh,
And then
fuck.
7 of 9 has to fight The Rock.
Oh,
And she loses.
Shit. No, she probably kicks his ass.
Yeah, no, she wins
Yeah,
if I
I don't-
remember.
well, that
correctly.
would ruin my suspension of disbelief immediately.
Well,
for
she's
Nah,
a Borg,
she's-
so like, you know.
Yeah,
Oh. no,
she's
nothing
part Borg.
can beat Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
Well, this is a. We won't get into the 7 of 9 versus Dwayne the Rock Johnson debate between me and Felix because I think that
There's
could
no
last
debate
forever.
necessary. There's
That
no
could
debate
last
necessary.
forever if we get into it. So let's not.
Yeah.
She's puny.
So yeah, that's 3 connections there for you.
Cool.
Hope
Beautiful.
you guys enjoyed that.
Oh, I've got another connection for you.
Yeah.
This is direct connection.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you noticed, but in They Live, there's aliens, and aliens are in Star Trek.
Actually, I just remembered there was one more 2 degree of a guy that we mentioned, Jeff Imada.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Who, was part of choreographing the fight scene.
Sure.
Yeah.
He also did some stunt work on Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country.
So that's direct connection.
That's a direct connection. Sorry, not a 2 degree. That's a direct connection. I had
That's
3
a
direct
one- yeah,
connections. I didn't even know it. Yeah.
There you go.
What am I talking about?
Wow. 2 direct connections.
3 direct connections.
What was the third?
We had
That one.
Alan Howarth,
Oh yeah. Fuck. we're
Meg
not
Foster,
with
and
that.
Jeff Imada.
Yeah, there you go. Holy shit.
Nice.
This might be the
And
best
then-
one yet.
I just needed to have The Rock in there because I just wanted
That's
to
great.
tell everybody The Rock is in Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes.
You proclaim it from the rooftops.
Okay. So we have one segment left, and I think this is the one that we've all been waiting for. Felix, you recall last time that you did. Well, this was not the last time you were on, but recall you were on with the Men in Black episode.
I was.
You were along for that roller coaster ride.
This is nothing like that. Don't worry. This is nothing like that.
Okay. So I was wondering where you were going for this, and if you were going down the obvious path.
Lizard people. Lizard people.
So you're gonna tell us about the lizard people?
I believe you owe me a theme song.
Oh shit, yeah, I do. Well, I mean, if I'm gonna play the theme song, you're gonna have to tell
it's
me
true.
something that is in fact not false.
Something that is what's the word for that? It's diametrically is in incongruence with reality, right? A fact that is congruous with reality.
So you are now going to tell us something that is the logical negation of falsehood.
All right, we're ready for the anti-false.
Yes. Some might even call that the truth.
Some might call it
That's
that.
a bit of a stretch, though.
So this is the segment in which Keaton, comes up with something to tell us that is potentially
So,
true.
reptilians.
Strong advertising. Follow through.
So
Reptilians.
What about them?
reptilians, also
Are
called
they?
reptoids or lizard people or reptiloids or saurians or dracodians are
Scarans.
saurins are
Starans.
no as in Sauron. Saurins.
I'm adding my own.
Oh, you're adding another one. Or starons are supposedly reptilian humanoids which play well, I'm not going to read that line. That line's bullshit. They call it a conspiracy theory. We all know that's not true. The idea of reptilians was popularized by David Icke. They again call him a conspiracy theorist. I'm just going to call him a theorist.
Is that the guy from? Was he on Ancient Aliens?
Yes. David Icke
Is he
is one of
that
the most
aliens
famous.
guy?
No, he's not him.
David Icke
That's
is one of the
Giorgio.
most famous people when it comes to conspiracy. Sorry, when it comes to theories, alternate theories.
Should we really be popularizing David Icke's theory.
No, that's what I was just. That was what I was just gonna say. Is David Icke is not a serious person. He claims shape-shifting reptilian aliens control Earth by taking on human form and gaining political power to manipulate human societies. Icke has stated on multiple occasions that many world leaders are or are possessed by so-called reptilians. So let me just start off by saying I don't believe in the reptilians.
Okay.
Just because it gets lost in the weeds sometime, and I don't want that.
You don't want to get a bad rap?
Yeah, I just want people to know I don't believe in the reptilians. However, now I'm going back into character where the serpent men are real. No, this is actually a true truth. I'm not going to talk about them any more than what I've just told you about them. Just that's the reptilian theory. But I did, in my study on the reptilians, come across a very interesting poll from 2013.
A poll?
It's from an organization called Public Policy Polling.
Oh yeah, that's a legitimate pollster.
They are a legitimate, exactly. So
wait, are we putting? Is there a stealth cinemetrics?
Hells yeah, there is actually. Well, actually no, it's not cinemetrics at all.
No, it's not cinemetrics. Okay, never mind.
It's public polling, but there's no it doesn't actually relate to the film in terms
Okay.
of counting anything. So
Sorry, so Felix, if cinemetrics is our it's our segment in which we talk about stats.
Ah, okay.
So let me just read you the introduction to this poll here from Public Policy Polling. PPP's latest national poll finds the American public differing along party lines on many conspiracy theories involving issues like global warming and the Iraq War, although some of the more bizarre ideas merit bipartisan skepticism.
That's a good word, bipartisan skepticism.
I do like that.
I like that.
So basically, this is like a phone interview, and he surveyed 1,247 registered American voters from March 27th to 30th over the did I say telephone interviews? In 2013.
So are the reptilians subject to bipartisan skepticism?
So let me read you question 13 of this poll.
Okay.
Question 13. Question 13. Do you believe that shape-shifting reptilian people control our world by taking on human form and gaining political power to manipulate our societies or not? So,
Okay, wait. Before you tell us the result of that,
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you the results. There's the three categories.
Can you give your answer there, Felix? Can you answer the question?
No, they're not taking human form. They're just projecting via satellite dish human form on top of themselves.
No. So you get three answers. There's do. So do you believe? You do not, or not sure are your answers. So please give your answers. I'll read the
Do
question
or do
one
not.
last
There
time.
is no try.
I'll give you the
Okay,
question
so
one last
I'm going to go
time.
with not sure.
I'm going to say no because it's an alternate mechanism.
Do not. Okay. So Felix, you sided with your do not answer with 88% of those surveyed.
What was the target audience? Was it just generic Americans?
Yeah, it's
It
a
was
random
registered voters.
example. Oh, registered voters. Okay.
That's even scarier.
Yep. 88%.
Yeah.
Jake, you said not sure. 7%. Which
Right.
out of the 1,200 or so people surveyed, that's about 84 people
Okay.
are not sure, which I think is shockingly high.
Yeah, the 12% that's undecided or thinks that there are the reptilians is pretty high, especially considering I would assume that
What's
percentage
the,
gets higher when you move out of the registered voter base.
What's the margin of error on that poll?
It is plus minus 2.8%.
What's the margin of error?
Basically saying like, okay,
it could be off by that much.
Yeah, basically it could be off by plus or minus 2.8% in either direction.
What could be off?
Each of those percentages.
The numbers that.
But they asked the people and they got the responses.
No, basically because they're generalizing for.
They're saying that based on 1,200 people, they can say that 88% of all Americans believe that within 2.8%. I think that's overly confident.
Well,
I
that's
agree
polling
too.
for you.
I have problems with polls, but we're not going to get into the.
We're not going to get into the debate on this.
Sure.
Because
I don't think it's really a debate that I'm qualified to weigh in on.
No, we'll have
I'm not
Nate
going
Silver on, and then he'll.
Yeah, we'll have when Nate Silver responds to our fucking emails.
Yeah, it just seems like a very small standard deviation for such a small sample size.
Yeah.
So, guys, question 7.
Okay.
Do you believe the moon landing was faked or not? Do not, or not sure?
Do not.
Do not.
You guys agree with 84% of those surveyed.
That's so bad.
Plus or minus 2.8% though.
7% do believe it was faked, and a whopping 9% are not sure.
That's, yeah.
Here's a good one. Question 8. Do you believe President Barack Obama is the Antichrist?
Okay, sorry.
Okay, this is very funny. So Sabrina and I, my partner Sabrina and I,
Sabrina, who's been on this podcast,
has been on the podcast.
Yeah,
she's
been
graced the
on
podcast.
She's been here.
We were looking at Airbnbs, and we were looking at like kind of like cottages in like Ontario, a couple hours from Toronto.
Yeah.
For when that's eventually allowable.
A possibility, yeah.
Yeah, and we stumbled upon this place. It was like this kind of like treehouse kind of build, but it was an actual house, but like built as a treehouse, like on stilts. So it was kind of cool. And we were reading the reviews, and one of them was like, oh, they were generally positive. Someone was like, oh, you should also visit their website, soah.ca, soah.ca. Keaton, why don't you quickly visit soah.ca?
Okay. soah.ca. Enter. It's not entirely loaded, but one of the tabs that has loaded is called End Times Preparation.
Yeah,
so it turns out that this place is a Christian end times preparedness like camp, and it's their camp for when the end times come, for when the rapture comes, and they're renting it out on Airbnb to make money in the meantime. Although it wasn't clear from their website whether the rapture had happened or not yet. But anyway, there's a wealth of information. They have a YouTube channel too where they post videos about their words from God about what they found out, and there's some interesting ones. But one of them is that
aliens.
Yes,
yeah, real pictures of aliens.
One of them is that Obama is the Antichrist.
Yeah,
and that the that vaccines give you a microchip which turns you into a genetic monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, everyone knows that.
Yeah, I highly recommend watching.
I just want to make it clear, Crank Account here does not endorse this theory.
No. Oh, and Obama is going to impose Sharia law as well.
Yes, specifically, yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
Everyone knows that.
Well, we're about to find out. Does everybody know that? Because we have the data.
I know at least Michael and Sharon do.
We have the data. All right, so you want to know. Let's see. So, question. Do you believe President Barack Obama is the Antichrist or not?
No.
A shocking 13% believe that.
Do you think maybe some people were thinking about it metaphorically, or are they all just that, like, fucked up?
Even metaphorically.
So 13% think he is the Antichrist?
it gets better though, because an equal amount of people are not sure. 13% are not sure.
I mean, how many people answer these surveys as memes? And then also, are they just surveying the Bible Belt?
Maybe. All right, let's do a couple more here.
All right.
Question 19. Do you believe Paul McCartney actually died in a car crash in 1966 and was secretly replaced by a lookalike so the Beatles could continue?
Yes.
Not sure. Rubber falls. Rubber Paul. Yeah, fall.
So 5%, only 5%. So about as many people who believe in reptilians also believe in...
Wait, so people more believe that Obama is the Antichrist than in Rubber Paul?
Oh,
I mean, there's irrefutable evidence that Paul is really dead. Like, there's the whole Last Testament of George Harrison.
Yeah, that's
yeah, there's the whole Last Testament, exactly.
For those that aren't aware, there's a documentary that used to be on Netflix. I don't know if it still is.
It was a long time ago.
But it was Paul McCartney Really Is Dead.
We might do that movie one of these
The
years.
true story of Rubber Paul or
truth.
Whatever it is. Anyway, but so this is a documentary we all watched together at one point.
Yeah. It's fucked.
Yeah.
Paul is really dead, man.
So last one here. We'll just jump into this one.
Okay.
Do you believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in killing President Kennedy, or was there some larger conspiracy at work? So, what do you guys think?
Not sure.
I mean, I honestly don't know enough about it, so not sure. I mean, I don't know that he was working with anybody else, but I'm sure there was other people trying to kill President Kennedy.
So what are you giving me? Is that a not sure?
Wait.
Conspiracy?
Actually, no, I believe that there was a large conspiracy because didn't you guys watch Zoolander?
Hells yeah, I did. David Duchovny was involved.
Yeah, man.
I don't know.
Not sure.
Not sure. Sure.
So, this one, 25% believe Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone.
Oh, so most people believe that.
Believe there was some other.
51%
Yeah.
of people believe there was some larger conspiracy at work.
That's a pretty compelling percentage.
Yeah.
That is a
Well,
compelling...
I think most of the reason behind that was just because, like, you know, there wasn't a lot of closure on that whole issue.
Yeah.
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 Also, it should be pretty hard to kill a president.
Yeah. Well, it's happened more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
finally...
So, speaking of attempts to kill presidents, are we saying that do you know if John Hinckley Jr. was wearing sunglasses when he took a shot at Reagan? Could he see?
Could he see?
Holy shit, I gotta search up a picture of John Hinckley Jr. See if there's any pictures of him wearing sunglasses. Let's see. No pictures of him wearing sunglasses.
Okay.
Hold on. Oh, no, wait. There's a
No, he
U.S.
didn't have the glasses
Marshal
on?
wearing sunglasses. He's wearing
Okay.
glasses, though.
He's wearing glasses, but not sunglasses.
Not
But
sunglasses.
what if he got the contacts?
Yeah, I suppose that's
That's
true.
true.
Suppose, yeah, it could be anyone. Anyone could be awake. So
Yeah.
as finally for this truth section, the closure is that if you're
How does this
wondering-
relate back to the movie?
Well, he's getting to it.
reptilians.
Yeah.
The aliens in charge is how it relates back, is that
Yeah.
Right.
only 4% are awake.
Right.
Only
That is how it
4%
relates.
of people have put on the glasses.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly. But if you were curious, of those surveyed, 38% were Democrat, 34% were Republican, and 28% were independent/other. So it's
Okay.
pretty
Yeah.
pretty split.
Pretty sample, the representative sample, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. The one thing I would posit is that in my opinion, the aliens in They Live are much more bug-like looking. They kind of have like their eyes look like they've got like compound eyes. They look like
kind
flies.
of like froggish
like
to me, you know?
chameleon-y eyes. That's the
Chameleon-y, yeah, or like
they look more like amphibian.
I
in my
feel like
opinion.
they look like they've got the compound eyes of a fly.
yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
If
Well-
only Jeff Goldblum was in this movie.
Yeah. It's too
If
bad.
only,
Too
yeah.
bad.
Well, on that note, as we are entering some.
So one last thing that I wanted. Did you guys catch the self-reference that John Carpenter made in this movie?
I did not.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, when he said when there was like the
When
the
they were on the
aliens saying,
TV, when the
like-
aliens were first being revealed to the public, there was just some guy on a talk show, and he was just saying, you know, all these violence in movies, man. These guys like John Carpenter, they gotta like
They gotta tone
take
it
some
down.
they gotta tone it down.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Which is funny because that just followed like this shooting spree in which like so many people got killed and there was a lot of blood.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Elliot, that also reminded me of one last little detail to mention is that the first thing that I noticed, and that actually the first thing I wanted to say about this movie, and it's actually turning out to be the last thing I'm saying about this movie, well, not the last thing, but is that, did you notice that they had a fucking PKE meter in it?
No, where?
That with the device the aliens were using to
Yeah.
find Roddy and
Yes,
Keith.
that's totally you're right.
What's a PKE meter?
From Ghostbusters?
That was like a psychokinetic energy
Yeah.
or whatever. Right.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, no, that is. I didn't catch that's what that was, but yeah, there was.
That's weird.
But yeah, anyway, so that we've come to our final segment here, which is the culminative segment because we've been talking about this movie for quite a while now, so it's time to
Yes, we have.
to wrap it up with our final thoughts. We have our special guest Felix here, our PhD candidate special guest. So I did say that he would explain to us how the glasses worked. He has not done that yet, so he might do that in his final thoughts, but he doesn't have to. But why don't you start us off, Felix?
Do you understand how that worked? I mean, you would you call yourself an expert in crystal lattices?
I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I know something about them.
Okay. Would you say that these glasses could conceivably have been composed of some sort of exotic crystal that allowed you to break through the alien mind beams?
Sure, why not?
God, that was
What if there's some kind of polarizations? Like there's like some polarization of light, and you got polarized sunglasses. Maybe.
See, this is what I'm
That's
talking
pretty
about.
basic technology, I guess, really. But I don't know.
So how would that block out the mind beams? And why did they give you a headache?
Well, maybe you need the coherence effect of the right and the left circularly polarized light. If you cut out one of them, then maybe it's like a 3D glasses kind of effect. I don't know. There's different things you can do with light. You know, there's like a depth of field perception, like with 3D glasses.
Is that your thesis? Your PhD thesis? There are different things you can do with light.
No.
I actually watched this guy's presentation on on
Jake
his,
helped me practice.
thing.
Yeah.
From what I gather, he uses light to measure various things.
Oh,
but
so he should
is,
be a fucking expert in this.
Yeah, well, I can tell you what I know about 3D, old school 3D technology is that they use 2 quarter wave plates, and a quarter wave plate is an optical device that lets different kinds of light pass through. So light being an electromagnetic field that can oscillate in various directions. Some of the fundamental parts are circularly polarized, where the polarization of the electromagnetic field kind of rotates, and can be left-handed and right-handed circularly polarized light. And so a quarter wave plate will turn those into linearly polarized light. And so basically 3D films would project 2 beams of right and left polarized light with a phase offset from each other. So they're like a little bit offset in time, and so you're basically there's two the two lenses basically are quarter wave plates in opposite directions, so that they set them to normal light so that you can receive the so you can separate the two signals. One of them will send one of them to zero, and one of them will let it through and pass it through. So basically, you get the two phase offsets in each eye, and that basically makes you feel that there's different things coming at you. So that could be an optical illusion where you could. That's my thesis, is that there's some sort of quarter wave plate technology being used to create an illusion.
So why would the glasses appear black and white?
Well, that's part of the illusion. That's part of the illusion.
That's part of the illusion, yeah.
That's as much as I can say about that.
That was excellent. That was way more than I could have ever hoped for.
Well, you're welcome.
Because we've now explained it. That's it.
Welcome.
Yeah,
So-
that must be it.
So, on a less scientific level, what are your final thoughts on this film?
My final thoughts, I don't know. I think it's a really fun movie. I do like it. I mean, obviously, we kind of talked about some of the parts that this movie is like, I don't think it should be taken too seriously. Like, it's a good movie.
I'm pretty sure John Carpenter wanted you to take it very seriously.
Yeah, I know, which is a little bit sad, but yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a fun movie, and like the messaging is quite ham-handed, but some of that is kind of fun. That you're just it's like hit me with it again,
Yeah, totally. It's like silly and fun if you take it that way. If you don't take it seriously.
If you take it seriously, it would probably get tiresome.
Okay, what punches harder? John Carpenter's message, or Rowdy Roddy Piper?
Definitely Rowdy Roddy Piper.
I don't know, man. It's a tough call for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'd say it's a fun movie. The special effects are not particularly great in this one, but like
because you didn't have Dean Cundy to make it all look great.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it does look a little,
but
I
think
it shows through in that way.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of weird that it's like sort of sci-fi, but it only really uses sci-fi for the plot devices it presents to advance the plot.
Yeah,
conveniently.
It's all allegorical, man.
Yeah. But it's a good movie. It's fun. The sunglasses idea is cool. I like the signs that say mate and reproduce. Those are funny.
Yeah. Obey.
The obey is less funny.
We didn't even talk about how Obey became a real fucking brand.
We did.
It's pretty messed up, in my opinion.
Is that the origin of that brand?
Yeah, it is literally. It's from this movie.
Actually, this movie was the origin of another popular thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know how popular it is, but
teleporting Rolexes?
No, the phrase that
I came here to kick ass and chew
bubble
gum
and all out of bubble gum. So apparently, Roddy Piper had written that for part of it was part of his notes for what he could use in WWE.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he used it in his act first.
I don't know if he actually used it, but it was in his notes.
Right.
But Roddy Piper came up with it. And
that's
also doesn't he say that after putting on the sunglasses for the first time on his like maniacal?
Yeah, that's when he shoots up the bank.
And it's like you just figured out that there's aliens and you're already coming up with clever puns before you murder them.
No, he was thinking about that one for a while.
Yeah. Anyway, no, it's a fun movie.
Yeah. What do you think, Jake?
I really like this movie. It's got some good shit in it. There's great memorable lines. There's an excellent fucking 7-minute fight in the middle of it, got a little bit of sci-fi, and like I just gotta reiterate this again because we all seem to have just noticed that the message is very blunt.
Indeed.
Just noticed it now.
Yeah,
you
you
just came
know.
across that
I think that is probably the main issue with this film was just like, and it sort of pushes this this social commentary aspect clumsily to a fault.
Yeah, I mean, I think it puts like a super limiting cap on like what the film's able to achieve. You know, it's like the fact that
and I'm not saying it shouldn't have social commentary in it. I'm just saying that what they did do was so unsubtle.
Yeah.
That it like.
Yeah, I feel like it also kind of like limited what they could do with the sci-fi stuff, for example.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think it's super entertaining. It's kind of weak in. I think the writing is a bit weak. I think the actual.
One more thing I will say.
Yeah.
Is that the role plays to Roddy Piper's strengths.
Absolutely.
And that he really doesn't have that many lines.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That definitely helps.
I think he is really good in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think he was put into a position to succeed. And that was a
I
very
agree.
good
That's
writing.
That's true.
Writing there.
He made me want to see him in more films. Like after
he
this.
wants he wants to make me watch fucking WrestleMania.
Yeah. After this, I might go
watch WrestleMania 3
some clips. Yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to just reiterate was how weird I thought that it was like how weird I thought it was that there was such a hearkening to the Great Depression, especially in the beginning sequences, that it's supposed to be such a bleak landscape and like filing at the unemployment office and there's no work anywhere and there's like the tent city. It's like it's I mean, I guess that plays to his
a real
theme.
thing in LA for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it's for sure trying to evoke that kind of
imagery.
Imagery for me, at least.
Yeah, and one more thing with the music. The music that was there was really good, but there was like 10 seconds of music.
It's the same thing over and over.
Yeah, basically.
It's like the same fucking theme.
Yeah. It's the blues, man.
Yeah. I mean, and that bluesy vibe kind of further cements what I think you were talking about was the 1930s Great Depression vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. And the train, like, it just kind of looked like it came off the train.
The vagabond.
Yeah, the train that they had to drive past twice.
Yeah. The most expensive shot in the film. Another expensive shot involving trains. Another week
Trains
in a row.
are goddamn fucking expensive.
Yeah. Well, I think that brings us to the end of this episode. But we will. Is there anything else you guys have?
I don't think I have anything.
No. Okay.
Felix?
Speak now.
I'd like to make a PSA.
Oh yeah, make your PSA. Yeah, please do.
Of course.
Yeah.
We forgot to give you your plug.
Yeah, that's okay. So my plug is gonna be this movie has Rowdy Piper in it.
Rest in peace.
And he's a wrestler.
Yeah.
And you guys were talking about wrestling a bit too, and the topic of WrestleMania came up, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson came up as well.
I don't think you need to plug Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the most
I'm gonna plug Dwayne The Rock Johnson's honor.
His what?
So
again?
I'm gonna plug his honor.
His honor.
Yes, and his good name.
Okay.
So
despite the fact they got beaten by 7 of 9 in that one episode of Star Trek.
Yeah, well, that's bullshit. But so you may or may not know that there's a new Fast and the Furious movie coming out.
Yeah.
This summer, Fast and the Furious 9, I think it is.
You're plugging the new Fast
You're literally
and
plugging
film?
Fast and
No, I am not.
Okay.
So you may or may not know that there's been a massive falling out between Vin Diesel.
Go see.
Let me finish my point.
Yeah, let him finish.
There's been a massive falling out between Vin Diesel and Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and that they refuse to work together anymore. And the point is that Vin Diesel's a sack of shit.
Was the argument over which one looks more like a thumb? And Vin Diesel was like, no, I look more like a thumb. And The Rock was like, no.
Well,
it's
Vin Diesel
you.
wins that one.
Yeah,
I think
because
well,
Vin
Vin
Diesel's
Diesel
right.
just wanted to be in control, and he didn't like the fact that as soon as Dwayne Johnson joined, he was more popular, and Vin Diesel wanted to be in charge. Anyway, point being that
This is my franchise.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Dwayne The Rock Johnson got a spin-off movie of the Fast and Furious, which was really
Hobbs
bad.
and Shaw or something? Was that
Yeah, it
one?
was really bad. But he's not going to be in the upcoming movie because they just don't work together anymore. So my point, my PSA and my plea to those who are listening is please boycott Fast and the Furious 9 because it doesn't have Dwayne The Rock Johnson in it, and that's bullshit.
Ah, so we were mistaken. So you're actually doing the opposite of plugging the new Fast and the Furious.
Okay, so you're saying don't go see Fast and
I'm
Furious.
saying boycott it.
Yeah,
Okay,
don't.
so you heard it here first. Don't go see that film.
Just watch the old ones with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah. Okay.
So with that, we wrap up the episode for this week. Thank you, Felix, for
Yes,
for
thank
coming
you for
on.
joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Shout out to Sweden for listening to our podcast.
Just one again, like last time.
Just one in Sweden.
One person, one time, listen to one episode.
One person last month in Sweden listened to our podcast,
There you go.
and they have our undying love.
They're all
Thank you.
the better for it. Thank you.